In the late 2000s, the company Driveline Analytics was founded and would change the game of baseball forever. They've trained players into All-Stars 40 different times, including 2 Cy Young winners and multiple league MVPs. Yet somehow, teams still deem their company as controversial, with many teams still rejecting their work and research on the game of baseball.
The teams that were at the forefront of the analytics movement had a much greater advantage because they were doing things that other teams weren't.
However, since 2011, Driveline has trained a total of 1,200 MLB players, approximately 10% of the league. From enhancing a pitcher's velocity while also preventing common arm injuries, they've attracted some of the league's best stars. But their first client may actually be their best work ever.
We were the first pro client to come up here and go through some of the process.
Trevor Bauer came out of UCLA, became the first pro player to begin using Driveline, and was now making his big league debut. But there was something different about their new client, starting with his pregame warm-up.
On the mound, there is Trevor Bauer.
You may ask why he's twirling a bar in the air, or his long toss routine throwing a ball across an entire baseball field. And to know the truth, we need to look back at the main training components in Driveline baseball. Starting with what's known as weighted ball training, where both pitchers and hitters increase their arm strength, which increases velocity and throwing mechanics. Trevor Bauer has been doing this for years, resulting in him being one of the most healthy players in baseball, never once getting Tommy John surgery. But the beginning of Trevor Bauer's career was also the birth of Driveline, created by Kyle Boddy, a man who was in love with the game of baseball.
The whole goal of this whole thing, I wanted to prove to the Tampa Bay Rays primarily that I could develop players.
As successful as Driveline is, even Kyle Boddy had his doubts.
Driveline Baseball is a multi-million-dollar company, and it shouldn't be.
Kyle Boddy envisioned changing baseball forever, as he believed MLB's analytics and technology department were severely outdated. But what would be his plan to bring back innovation and analytics into baseball? One of the many things was introducing velocity training programs, using weighted ball exercises, strength training, and more, resulting in pitchers like Trevor Bauer throwing 94 miles an hour while staying healthy and avoiding Tommy John surgery, a surgery that affects 37% of MLB pitchers. However, for batters, the goal was to find ways to generate more hits, including the usage of motion capture technology, using 3D models of a player's swing, allowing them to make adjustments when needed. As the years went on, their many programs slowly became a phenomenon among hitters like Mookie Betts and pitchers like Kenley Jansen. Kyle Boddy's vision of transforming player careers was finally coming to fruition, but his next goal was for this to go beyond individual players and instead transform entire organizations, beginning with Kyle's first MLB job back in 2019 with Cincinnati.
5 straight strikeouts for Trevor Bauer.
Hired as their minor league pitching coordinator, Kyle was tasked with using his unique training methods to create a new era of pitching for the Reds. His first goal was to fix veteran Sonny Gray, who was coming off one of his worst statistical seasons with a .490 earned run average in 2018. But almost as soon as he joined the Reds, something would change for the pitcher.
Got him swinging.
Gray's strikeout rate per 9 innings went higher, his ERA dropped, and his spin rate also went up dramatically on all of his pitches. He would also see a major decrease in walks given up per 9 innings from 394 to 306 in 2019. Statistically, he was ranked as the 7th best pitcher in all of baseball by ERA. After his amazing season, Sonny Gray would go on to say that when he came to the Reds, that they basically gave him, and I quote, the cheat code. They were able to take the stuff that he had and show him how to use it to the best of his abilities. But he was a proven veteran who they were able to fix. And quickly, Kyle would have to go and face his first major challenge in his new job, aka fixing Trevor Bauer. Up to 2019, Trevor Bauer was finally finding success in Major League Baseball with a great 2018 and a solid first half in 2019. But when he got into the Cincinnati Reds organization, his success would quickly drop off, going from a 3.79 ERA to a 6.39 ERA in the span of one half. So was it the Reds failing Bauer, or was it Bauer failing the Reds? And the answer is shockingly neither, and a lot of his failure was due to a quote mystery injury. 2020, on the other hand, would be the best season of Trevor Bauer's entire career.
Okay, it's my pleasure to announce the 2020 National League Cy Young Award goes to Trevor Bauer of the Cincinnati Reds.
Trevor Bauer is is the first Cincinnati Red to ever win the Cy Young.
The Cy Young winner transformed his career with the highest spin rate in baseball, one of the best curveballs with one of the best drops in all of the league. All that ultimately added up to a 1.73 ERA in 11 total starts. After spending 6 winters at the Driveline facility, his 2020 season with Cincinnati was absolutely no surprise.
And ultimately, to be able to be effective in game, you have to throw a quality pitch at the right time, at the right sequence, to the right spot. Like, these are all things that matter.
However, this success that was born in the Reds pitching system was quickly going to fade. Trevor Bauer was no longer a Cincinnati Red, and the team would see a significant decline in 2021, going from the 7th best ERA in baseball to the 20th ranked ERA in only 1 year. And while this would mark the end of Kyle Boddy with Cincinnati, he would leave, making a lasting impact on the organization forever. As right before he left the team, he would introduce a new thing called Pulse into the team's pitching development. Pulse is a system created by Driveline that's able to manage a pitcher's workload sufficiently to keep the players healthy. But what has Kyle Boddy been doing since his contract ended with the Reds? Would the pitching guru end his short MLB tenure, or would he join a new pitching staff? According to Kyle Boddy, he was looking for 2+ years to get back into an MLB front office and finally found an opportunity with the Boston Red Sox. This would be a major challenge for Boddy, joining what was perceived as one of the bottom 10 pitching staffs in baseball, finishing 2022 as the 25th ranked team in ERA and 21st ranked team in 2023. Now, this was a unique transition for the Red Sox, going from one front office to a brand new one with a pitching-first mindset. The problem for Boston for over 20 years has been the in-house pitching development. Outside of certain Red Sox legends, they haven't had a true pitching pipeline in decades.
Glasnow strikes out. John Lester's thrown a no-hitter at Fenway. He no-hits the Kansas City Royals.
Kyle Boddy's intention of joining the Red Sox was developing a process to have a pitching pipeline, a proper development process, all to set up their talent for success. He reportedly wanted to be in Boston so bad that he declined assistant GM roles with other organizations. But he certainly had his work cut out for him, as Boston was ranked the 29th worst team in pitching by a former team executive. The positive for Kyle Boddy is that one of Boston's pitchers was already accustomed to certain Driveline methods, as in the offseason headed into 2023, pitcher Nick Pivetta spent most of his time in the Driveline facility, where he spent his time increasing fastball velocity and working on his mechanics. While Pivetta was not a star, the pitcher did have his best recorded season in the major leagues with a 4.04 ERA and increased his fastball velocity from 93.4 up to 95 miles an hour, indicating that if Driveline was able to do this with one pitcher, they could likely do it with many more. And early into the season, we would learn that that is exactly what happened. Pitcher Garrett Whitlock was great, Tanner Houck was a beast, and this pitching staff was easily the most improved in all of baseball.
Good pitch.
They've exceeded all expectations in the division, in the pitching staff, and even in the hitting categories. We now know the impact that Driveline had on Boston, but what difference does Driveline make for the MLB draft, on prospects and teams?
If you're a fan of college baseball, you know all about Travis Bazzana.
Travis Bazzana.
The all-time record holder in numerous categories in Beavers history. Bazzana.
The number 1 overall pick of the 2024 MLB draft was once a trainee in Driveline's very own facility. After lighting up college baseball in 2022 with a .306 batting average, Bazzana would decide that his performance was not good enough, which is what led him to start training at Driveline's facility for 6 total weeks. And this chart is what represents the results, featuring an increase in 90 percentile bat speed, average exit velocity, max exit velocity, and top 8th exit velocity. Bazzana came out a brand new ball player, prepared for the 2023 college baseball season, and it would go perfect. Travis hit for over a 1,000 OPS in 2023, with an average nearly halfway to 400. 1 year after this, he would hit for a 1,400 OPS in 296 total at-bats. He has the ability to hit and defend well with solid athleticism. And on top of Bazzana, 3 other Driveline trainees were also featured in the 2024 MLB draft. The Driveline facility was making a massive difference for prospects. But what about Kyle Boddy's current team and the Boston Red Sox?
The Boston Red Sox select Braden Montgomery, an outfielder from Texas A&M.
In the first round, an outfielder in Braden Montgomery would fall right into their lap. The problem for Boston has for years been the lack of a pitching pipeline. So past round 1, the Red Sox would go on to pick 13 pitchers out of 20 total draft picks.
The Boston Red Sox select Peyton Tolley, a left-handed pitcher from TCU.
The Red Sox continued building one of the best farm systems in all of baseball. But that story hasn't been the same for many other teams. Take the Colorado Rockies, for instance, a team that has one of the worst analytics staffs in the league, one of the smallest. They haven't had a playoff season in roughly 6 years, and lost 100 games in 2023, and are now on pace to do the same thing, if not worse, in 2024. They have quite literally been killed by being behind the rest of baseball with no analytical staff. Back in 2020, their analytics staff was reportedly gutted by departures, with 4 of 6 people on their staff leaving, with the majority of Rocky players having to fend for themselves, including even a longtime veteran in Charlie Blackmon. As it was reported by The Athletic in 2020 that, quote, Blackmon grew so frustrated by the difficulty of adjusting to hitting on the road after leaving Coors that he devised his own plan on how to hit better during road trips. And also more recently in 2023, it was reported that the Rockies were still lagging behind the rest of baseball with the analytics department. The Rockies and the Red Sox have a clear divide from one another, with one acknowledging driveline science and the other completely ignoring it. But this begs the question, what is next for Driveline's facility and company? With 13 former Driveline employees working for over a dozen MLB teams, within the next few seasons, Driveline Baseball will be known as the facility that changed baseball forever.